everyone. Welcome to another episode of Malaysians on the Move. I'm really excited to be speaking to Yani today. Yani grew up in the US for a few years before returning to Malaysia as a young child and then returning again as a young adult where she finally settled down in New York. She's really passionate about community building and is also a mother of two. Can't wait to deep dive into her story. So, without any further ado,
Hi, Yoshnee. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor, actually. And me being like really passionate about anything Malaysian, this is so, up my alley and it came at such a perfect time.
yeah, I'm really glad that you agreed to do this and share your story because you have a very unique one. And it starts with the fact that you actually spent a small part of your childhood in the US, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, like currently, I'm based in New York City for the past 16 years, but I did do a lot of moving around since I was a baby. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, when my mom was studying for her master's. Then we moved back to KL until I was about 6 years old. Then we moved to Madison, Wisconsin to be with my mom when she was studying for her PhD. And then when I was about 10 years old, we moved back to KL. And then we stayed with my grandma in Subang Jaya, and then I started like maybe the middle of Darja Empat in SS 19 school.
Yeah, I know that school actually because I have a lot of cousins that live in Subang.
Yeah. So, it was a really rough adjustment. I didn't speak much BM or at all, actually. So, and I couldn't read either. So, I did get picked on, they, I would walk around and the kids would like stare and they would call me like, budak Amerika, budak Amerika.
I just can't believe that that happened, but funny to laugh
Like,
about now.
yeah, when it was happening, I was like, oh my God, like, wow, I'm really being bullied here, you know?
Yeah, for the listeners, Buddha America means American kid.
Yeah,
So basically, you were being teased for being like from America, right?
yeah. They knew, like, somehow word got around that I just came back from the US and I didn't know anything. So that was really, rough. But thankfully, I'd made friends lah. They were nice people. But then after Daja Empat, we moved to Petaling Jaya to PJ.
Nice. That's where I'm from.
Yes, I mean the bulk of where I spent my formative years was in PJ, so I consider myself Buddha PJ, which is PJ kid. And I went to this school called Alam Shatu, and they seem to be more accepting there. It was a very diverse school because they had visually impaired kids and
Oh,
hearing impaired kids. So we were all encouraged to learn ASL
oh, wow. That's really good.
and some basic sign language. Yeah, so that was really great. And then in secondary school, I went to SMK Asunta on Jalan Changai.
Yeah, that's where I went to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm Asunta alumni.
How come I didn't know this? Oh my goodness. So, what batch were you?
Form 5, 2008.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, as you know, all girls school, I think it was like the best experience because so many different, people. And I feel like I made such close friends there who I've kept in touch with until now.
Same here.
It's a different kind of bond that we have. Like whenever we meet an Asuntarian, even though we don't know each other, it's like, oh my gosh, you get it, you know?
Yeah. Did you have any hobbies or anything then? Or how did you feel about America, your days then? Did it like come back to you? Or by the time you were in high school, you sort of like forgotten about it?
Yeah, I mean, at that time, I assimilated as much as I could, but I feel like at the back of my mind, I still yearn to go back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I actually did go back with my auntie and uncle. to Evanston, Chicago, to visit my cousin when I was in sixth grade. Yeah, standard six. I actually got to visit some of my friends in Madison. I went on a plane myself and a bus myself at the age 12. Yeah.
Wow, that won't be happening today, I bet.
No, definitely not today. Definitely not today. I was like, am I actually doing this? And my auntie was very cool about it also. Yeah, that was an adventure, but that turned out so fun. Yeah, so at the back of my mind, I just felt like, I always just wanted to come back to the US. I feel there's just so much out there in the world for me to embark on. So I think after studying, I quickly got into the job market. My first job was Sushi King, and then a coffee cafe, and then I quickly got a job with a production house. I was a PA, which is a production assistant for a film.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. It was such a cool experience because it's so fast paced and you get to see what goes behind like a 30-second commercial. There was no sleep, you're just on like fumes and caffeine. So that was like the first serious job I ever had. And then after that, I got into publishing. I
Oh.
was a editorial assistant for Female Magazine Malaysia, and then that was my first stint in the media. And then I started becoming a writer. My last writing job was as a feature writer for Prestige magazine.
Oh, I know Prestige magazine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that socialite magazine. So I think that was when I was at the peak of being jaded. I was like in my mid 20s. And then I was like, oh my God, there's got to be more to life than just going to events and writing people, taking pictures of other people, living life and writing captions of their names. I was like, I have to live my own life.
Yeah, well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, I was like, I need to go out of KL and kind of discover myself. This is the time for me to apply for, say, like a cultural program of some sort to just like give me that extra nudge to move out of Malaysia for a bit. So I chose New York as my host family, like a host family in New York. And unfortunately, it wasn't the most suitable family for me. So I didn't stay with them for long. So after about 2 months and a half, after arriving in New York, I had to find a new place to live. And, I literally had to just start from scratch. And thankfully, I had friends who were studying NYU, and I just felt like such a burden because, they're trying to study and you're like here crashing their place. And most of them, live with roommates and all this stuff. So I was pretty much bouncing around.
I'm sorry that it wasn't a suitable match between you and the host family, but what was the purpose of the program? Were you supposed to integrate with the host family and just follow them around?
Yeah, so the program is called Au Pair Program. And what it is you are supposed to live with a host family and help them take care of their kids solely just to entertain the kids and kind of take care of the kids, yeah, during the day, like at limited hours. And then in exchange for like a cultural experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the cutoff line was like 28 years old. So I was like, oh my gosh, I should do this. And then my friend was like, do it before it's too late. So I was like, okay, let's just give it a shot. Um, but continuing on with starting from scratch, I was bouncing around, staying with my friends. And then, fortunately, my mom introduced me to Haris Muhammad, and he worked with the mission of Malaysia. And he connected me with Kat Nurul, who worked at Tourism Malaysia at that time. And they were looking for an information officer. And then I applied for it, and thankfully, it went very smoothly. I met the director, Encik Salahuddin, at that time, and I literally had the interview in the morning and started that afternoon.
Wow, that's awesome. And so this Tourism Malaysia position was based in New York?
Based in New York, yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow, that's cool. And it feels like in the same realm of what you used to do with publishing and events and things, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a lot of like connecting with different groups of people, but this time it was more promoting Malaysia to the American market, which is, something that I really love to do naturally. It was really the perfect position for me at that time, and it really saved me as well because I was like, trying to get my social security registered, trying to get enough money to get my own place to stay. So that really saved me. Like after maybe 5 months, I was able to get a room with another Malaysian. Yeah, so that was my first apartment. I think I think in spring of 2009. Oh my gosh, I'm telling my age.
No worries, no worries. Age is just a number, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so then you begin to assimilate into the New York life. And we all know how New York is. It's very, I don't know how it was in 2009. I'm assuming not like now, but it's still very overstimulating and there's a lot going on. So I reckon that once you settled in, it started to get fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as you know, like New York is so intense and it's so overwhelming, you kind of have to pace yourself and you literally have to fight for everything just to live here. So after settling down, finally, I guess that spring, I started making friends and exploring more and discovering that there's like always something to do and see in New York. So I would always be out and about and exploring and checking out new restaurants and hanging out and doing, different things every weekend. So it got really, really fun.
And during this whole time, you were very happy with your job. You loved living in New York. And I'm assuming Malaysia was just far in the back of your mind at this point.
Yeah, I think at the same time with being away, it started off with really bad homesickness. You just get really homesick and you think about your family, you think about all the people you left and the food and etc. etc. As you're trying to settle down, it's of course always something that you always seek for. I think more so because you're far away from home, right? So I would always seek for Malaysian food. I will always seek for anything associated to Malaysia, and it helped that I was working with Tourism Malaysia. So that kind of, encouraged it. And then I would even seek out like Malaysians or even like hear the accent whenever I'm out. I'm like, oh my God.
Malaysian or Singaporean?
Confirm, confirm. So I would always be that person who would like go up to a stranger and be like, "Are you Malaysian?"
I've done
Yeah,
that actually.
yeah. So
And but
I,
I go one step. I'm like, are you Malaysian or Singaporean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to be safe, right?
Yeah.
Just to be safe. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the homesickness. I think for
mhm.
me, it didn't start in the beginning because I came here for university. And
uh,
then when I stayed for a job, I was on a visa. So it felt very temporary, like, oh, like I'm here now, but you never know about next year.
yeah,
But then once I became, more permanent here, I
uh-huh,
started feeling more sad. Not sad, but I would think about, oh, like now this is my reality. I'm far away from my family.
uh-huh,
It's like a
uh-huh.
24-hour flight. Then you like start thinking of all the things that make it hard about being away. But yeah, I can relate to that. And because you started meeting more Malaysians
Yeah.
and because of your job, I think it helped you feel like you had people around you that knew your culture, right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. That make things even more easier, and you feel like okay, there's this pocket of people that are like you, so you don't feel so out of place and you could still like speak Malay or speak Manglish. You don't have to like switch codes so much. I think I got like super comfortable with the job because I stayed for 8 years until it literally closed in 2017. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should have kind of tried to apply for other jobs, but I think it was just such a, I was so passionate about it, besides being comfortable. So it's a shame that they closed, and I really do hope that they open a New York office sometime soon.
Yeah, likewise. I do feel Malaysia has gotten a lot of, well, I don't want to say visibility, but people know about it.
Hmm.
I feel like in 2010, when I came to America, I
Yeah.
would be like, I'm from Malaysia. And they'd be like, where's that? Or I would have to use Thailand or Singapore as a reference.
Yes,
But
yes.
now most people have heard about it. I don't know if it's because of MH370,
Oh, yeah.
but but now it's like, oh yeah, I'm from Malaysia. It's like, okay, I don't get the, oh, where's that look
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just feel like we should like keep the momentum going. We have
Yeah,
so much to offer, right?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm proud of the culture and our people, and that's why I
Yeah.
like telling people about the podcast and the fact that I'm
Yeah.
doing this. And
Yes, yes, and like
yeah,
highlighting so many talent that comes out from Malaysia as well.
yeah, right, right. So I guess during that time you met your American husband, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise you may have left in 2017.
Yeah, I actually thought to myself, I was like, wow, I'm in my mid 20s. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to live my single life. But I actually met him 2 months in to arriving to New York. So at the same time as I was trying to transition from my au pair family to like surviving on the New York streets, I had actually met him as well in East Village. And the funny story is that we had connected through a Malaysian friend
Okay.
who was friends with the DJ that was spinning at the place that we had met. So a Malaysian was behind our connection as well. Um, so after meeting in the East Village, I was with my two Malaysian friends, Shu and Nana, and he was already asking Shu how to speak Malay and all, trying to pick me up.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, not impressed actually at that. I was giving him a hard time. I was like, oh God. And then my friend Shu actually encouraged me to go on our first date after some hesitation, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, as they say. And now you have two kids.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. It was, you know, as people who are in relationships, especially like interracial relationships, it's really interesting for him, especially to get to know the Malaysian culture and the food and meeting other Malaysians. So I feel like whenever I introduce him to a Malaysian or whenever we're out with Malaysian friends, he always tries to up his Malaysianness. And then
Fair.
he will just go and blurt out any Malay words that he knows. It's kind of funny. And my friend in Malaysia is like, "What? Does he have like Tourette's or something?" I was like, "Yeah, it's Malaysian Tourette's."
Right, right. And I'm assuming he's been a few times to Malaysia.
Yes, yes. So he's been how many times now? Three or four times? Four times. Four times, I believe. Yeah. So we went back last summer after 6 years. With COVID and with having kids and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, even though some things were different, the essence of Malaysia is still the same. So it's always great to be back.
that's a great phrase. Some things are different, but the essence of Malaysia remains the same.
Yes,
Needs to be
yes.
printed on a shirt or something.
Yes. Thanks for the idea. I might just do that.
And so I guess now it's been so many years that you've been living here.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you think about? I know you're busy with your kids.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I know you've mentioned that you love traveling.
Yeah, we still try to continue traveling even though we have two kids now. We used to travel much more often, of course, but now we focus on the summer break. So my husband's usually the one that maps out the itinerary. So like in the past summer, we went to 5 cities. He had organized like a super trip because he's a teacher, and you know how stressful that job is. And he gets the summer off, so he's like, this is the only time I can de-stress and really just get out, of the city. So we went to Vienna, and then we went to Bratislava, Salzburg, Ljubljana, and then we ended in Zagreb,
Ooh, that
Croatia.
sounds like a great trip. Wow. How many
Yeah,
weeks?
I can't believe we survived. That was 3 weeks.
That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's not easy with the kids, of course, but it definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, I mean, and you do that like every year. You try to go someplace new and just enjoy.
Yes, yes. Like any new country that we haven't been to, and then have the kids also immerse, into different cultures. And yeah, I think it's more educational than just putting them in like summer camp.
Yeah, 100%. And as for your time after Tourism Malaysia, what have you been up to now? I know you've told me that you did a coding boot camp.
Yes, yes, that's right. So over the pandemic, I had been laid off from my job with a tour operator who was selling destinations in Asia.
Ah, sorry to
So
hear.
obviously, that was the first industry to tank. And understandably, we were laid off. And I was thinking to myself, like, I have all this time, and I was getting unemployment. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and pivot to software engineering. I've always just been really, really curious about what happens under the hood. Like, how do you actually build a website? How do you actually build an application? So I feel like it was the best decision I ever made. I learned so, so much. And after about a year of doing part time studying, I got a certification. And then I was able to break into tech like early 2022.
That's awesome. I love that you said it was the best decision you made because I feel like as we grow older, we feel like the time has passed for us, but you actually
Yes.
continue to reinvent yourself and you continue to pick up new skills. I think coding is a skill that everybody should learn.
Yes. I feel like it is a superpower, actually.
How did you gain the insight to go for the boot camp?
I think I've just always been fascinated with tech in general, and I feel like I am tech savvy in the most part, but there's just this next level of technology that I never got to explore, and I thought it was inaccessible. And I thought, like, oh, I need like certain qualifications, like a computer science degree to actually learn coding. But I think with this program, I was encouraged by this startup called Career Karma, and they encourage people from diverse backgrounds to break into tech. And I think that helped me a lot because they kind of normalized that process of, hey, you could do this,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a genius to try and learn coding. Even if you're not able to master it, at least you can try. The doors are open for you.
Yeah. Honestly, that's one of the great things that I like about America and living here. I feel like you're made to feel that you can try and do anything.
Yeah, that part is true. I gotta agree with you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that you ventured into this new realm. How is it going for you?
Well, the tech industry and the tech job market isn't looking too great, I think, for the past year plus already. So I kind of expanded in back into my marketing background and into business development, because during the pandemic I was also very fascinated with small businesses, because I saw that a lot of them had been closing down. Like, so many of them were closing down one by one by one. And then I was like, how can I do something to kind of help small businesses in this situation? So I had also created a group called Small Businesses NYC on Facebook. I connected with small businesses in my neighborhood first, and then I just started approaching other small businesses in the city, and I kind of just help them repost their promotions and do, every little bit that I can as one person to kind of help them with their work. And that said, I had embarked on, being a freelance digital marketer and business developer because I was able to help small businesses with kind of structuring their strategy and all of that stuff, and with the little budget that they have, you kind of try and help with as many areas as possible.
Yeah, like you have to
So
be efficient and like optimize, right, for things.
yeah. Yeah, so since I was laid off, I think it was spring of 2023, I had transitioned to freelance, and I have been kind of taking any freelance projects since then. It's been more challenging because you kind of have to chase for projects, and it's totally different than, working with a huge empire where everything is just, very secure and stable.
Yeah,
But yeah, but you could definitely learn, end to end business operations and all of that stuff, especially if you want to eventually start your own company. I think it was very valuable learning experience for me.
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, as you continue to just learn more skills and try new things, it will all like culminate to something, I feel.
Yeah, same. So now that my son is starting school, I can actually transition back to full time, and that's kind of where I am right now. I'm transitioning back to full time from freelance.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was technically like a blessing in disguise in some ways that you got to take a little backseat from work in that with freelance you can carve out your own hours so that let you
Yes,
yeah, that let you partake in your like young children's lives a little more?
totally. I think I was very fortunate in that sense, like with the pandemic and being laid off and stuff like that. Like it allowed me to actually have more time to think about upskilling and being at home with the kids while they're young. So I think you're right. It was a blessing in disguise. I would have never thought of like, hey, I'm gonna stay at home and work. Because
Yes.
I'm in that generation where I'm conditioned to believe that like working full time in the office is normal.
Yes.
There's no other way around it. Like working at home, that was like something you never think about.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I wanted to ask you the golden question now. I think it's a
Uh-huh.
good segue.
Okay.
So now that you've lived here a long time and you've really
Uh,
established yourself here, do you ever feel like you would move back to Malaysia someday?
of course, of
Wow,
course.
that was straight. And like most people are like hesitant to say anything. Of course, with such conviction.
Yes, because I actually spoke to my husband about this a while ago, and he was in agreement too. He was like, yeah, you know what? Like when we retire, Malaysia is probably going to be our first destination. I really want to just be tied to Malaysia somehow. So I thought, like, when I retire, I can also build or start a little company there. I don't know. We're thinking of Malaysia first to retire in, and then we're gonna travel around from there. But I definitely do feel like we will be back in Malaysia sometime. Like when my husband retires, and he's already planning to like retire early. So
Okay, okay.
so yeah, that's not long actually. Oh my God, scary.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, that's great. Also, I feel like the world is so connected now that even if you moved back there, you can always come back to America. Your kids may also
Yeah.
be, you never know which part of the world they might move to.
Yes, exactly.
Before I let you go, I wanted you to share more about your community building efforts. I know you're very passionate about connecting with Malaysians and connecting other Malaysians to other Malaysians, especially in New York. Maybe you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think like that naturally just came to me because I also started off trying to adjust myself being so far away. And I feel like a lot of Malaysians that move here for studies or work or transfers or programs, feel the same way. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to uproot myself and be here in a different country, the different culture I'm not used to. And especially it's New York City, so it's so extra overwhelming. So I feel like whenever there's someone who just moves to New York, I always like to embrace them and be like, hey, we're here. So with that said, like we've kind of created this community. It started with a Facebook page called the Malaysian Effect, and then we started a WhatsApp group that has about 111 members so far and growing. I think it's so important to just have a strong Malaysian community here, so we feel like we aren't alone, and then we could still enjoy the things that we've had at home here, and we can help each other out if we have any questions about anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish we had more ways to inform Malaysians about the group. I know it's kind of hard, but it'll probably be like through word of mouth and things like that, right?
Yes, 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 like through events and picnics and stuff like that. That's when we kind of get to know each other and be like, oh, there's a WhatsApp group. Okay, can you add me?
Yeah. And this is specific to like in the New York area?
Yeah, mainly the community in New York and the surrounding areas, but you know what? Like there's no restrictions. We will embrace anybody that wants to join the group. It's nice to also extend it to like the other Malaysians in the US or globally.
Yeah.
That would be like awesome actually.
Yeah. There's a global Malaysian network Facebook group.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I'm in it.
I'm in it
Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good that they have that. I'm looking forward to be, more active in terms of organizing events and highlighting like Malaysian businesses in the city and continue being there for, community members.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so nice talking to you. And I will definitely
Yes.
drop the links to the Facebook and Instagram pages that you mentioned.
Hmm.
And yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. Glad to know another Asuntarian.
Yes.
Yeah, any last words before I let you go?
I guess I'm looking forward to, know more Malaysians through your podcast. And it's been such an honor to be chosen as one of your interviewees, Yoshnee. Thank you so
No,
much.
thank you for sharing your story. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
If you made it to the end, thank you so much for listening. As you just heard, Yani is very passionate about community building and loves connecting with Malaysians. Reach out on the Malaysian Effect Facebook or Instagram pages to get involved. As a seasoned traveler, Yani also does some part time work as a travel agent. A link to her travel website and all other socials are in the episode show notes. And now that's a wrap. Hopefully, you will tune in for the next one.